It's May. You have been operating at full speed since January. But if someone asked you right now whether you're on track to hit your financial goals for the year, could you answer with confidence? Most early childhood business owners and operators, well, they can't. Not because they don't care, but because nobody has ever shown them what a quarterly financial check-in actually looks like for a ratio-dependent business. Generic financial advice, well, it doesn't account for enrollment fluctuations, ratio requirements, or the unique cash flow dynamics of preschools, play cafes, and enrichment programs. So today I'm giving you the 4 KPIs and the Q2 review that tells you exactly where you stand and what to adjust before the second half of the year slips away from you. Well, hello there, CEOs. Welcome to another episode of the Early Childhood Made Easy podcast. I am Kelly Peak, your host. Super excited to be here to help you find more of that peace and profit and that time freedom lifestyle you so deserve. Now, I want you to think back to January 1st for a moment. Maybe you set a revenue goal. Maybe you committed to finally paying yourself consistently. Maybe you made a promise that this would be the year that you actually understood your finances instead of hoping for the best and bracing for the worst. Now, I want you to ask yourself, do you actually know if you're on track? If the honest answer is not really, or I think so, but I'm not sure, or, and this is the one that's most common, more common than you think, I've been avoiding looking. You are exactly who this episode is for. Here's something I learned the hard way in my own early childhood businesses. You cannot fix what you cannot see. I spent years operating preschools and play cafes where on paper, everything looked fine, full enrollment, happy families, busy team, but I had no idea what my actual profit margin was. And when I finally looked, I was working 70 plus hours a week and I was taking home less than I had earned in one of my previous jobs. Those numbers, they told me the truth that the busyness had not been hiding the profit leaks. A Q2 financial review isn't about being a finance expert. It's about taking 30 minutes in May to ask 4 specific questions about your business health, and then making smart adjustments before the second half of the year gets away from you. So those 3 strategies we're talking about today. Number 1, check your 4 KPIs and know what the numbers are actually telling you. Number 2, I want you to mine for margin. Find those hidden profit opportunities in your first half data. And number 3, build your second half adjustment plan using that Q2 data. Now, your free resource today is the mid-year financial health scorecard. You will find it at kellypeak.com. We're going to find information about this episode 179. Download this free resource and follow along. Financial clarity isn't a once-a-year event that happens with your accountant in January. It's a quarterly practice that keeps you leading your business instead of being surprised by it. When you track your 4 key financial indicators every quarter, you move from reacting to financial problems to preventing them, which is the difference between an overwhelmed manager or director and a confident early childhood operator or a CEO who leads with intention. That shift doesn't require a finance degree. It just requires 30 minutes, the right 4 questions, and the courage to look at those numbers honestly. Here's a reframe that changes everything about how you think about your finances. Now, the industry average, the profit margin average for early childhood businesses, it's between 1% and 5%. That means most early childhood business operators and owners, businesses with full enrollment, wait lists, great reputations, they're keeping less than 5 cents of every dollar that comes through the door. That is not sustainable, my friend. That's not what you built this for. And the businesses operating at 10 to 15% margins, they're not doing it because they charge more or they spend less. They're doing it because they check in on their numbers regularly enough to see problems early and correct them before they compound into a year-end crisis. The numbers from my own early childhood businesses make this real in a way that industry statistics alone can't. Before I implemented a regular financial review process, my profit margins were sitting at 1%. I had full enrollment, a wait list, 70 plus hours of work a week. But after I created my first revenue roadmap and I really started tracking those 4 KPIs monthly, and I implemented a quarterly review, our profit margin, well, it moved to 12% within 18 months. I finally was able to pay myself. My work hours, they dropped by 25%. Same program, same families, same team, completely different financial outcome because I had finally knew what the numbers were actually saying, and I had a system for responding to them. Now, I work with a Play Cafe owner who reached out to me in October. She was in a genuine financial panic. She had no idea how she'd gotten there. Her summer, well, had been super busy. Believe it or not, for summer, she had booked parties, she had events running. The place was full, but she was looking at her bank account in the fall and couldn't understand why there was nothing left. She hadn't done a single financial check-in since January. When we pulled her numbers together, they told a clear story, and one that was completely avoidable. Her payroll had crept up to over 65% of revenue over the summer because she had staffed up for her busy season without adjusting her pricing or ensuring that her team was monitoring their hours properly. And of course, none of that helped cover the cost. So her profit margin had been sitting below 3% since March. Now, if she had caught it in May, we could have actually adjusted her summer camp pricing before registration closed, but she didn't know because she wasn't looking. So the following year, we set up her quarterly review cadence and the CEO cash flow planner to track monthly. When she hit her Q2 check-in in May, she caught that her programming expenses were trending high early enough to recalibrate before summer. She entered the fall that year with a 3-month cash reserve and a profit margin above 10% for the first time. She told me, I remember, I finally feel like I'm running the business instead of it running me. That's the shift a quarterly financial check-in can make possible. We're going to begin with strategy number 1. You're going to check your 4 KPIs and know what the numbers are actually telling you. The Q2 financial review isn't a comprehensive accounting exercise. It's a focused 30-minute check-in. You're going to check 4 specific metrics that together are going to give you a complete picture of your business's financial health. These are your 4 KPIs. Your key performance indicators. And they're the only 4 numbers you need to understand your business financial health really in any given moment. So there are other KPIs. There are many KPIs that you want to monitor. There's ones specific to very different things in your business, but these are the 4 that you need to know at any given moment that are going to really help you determine whether you have enough money in the bank to pay your team, to pay your expenses. You need to know these 4 KPIs at any given moment. So again, there are others that are important as well, but the 4 we're talking about today are really important at any given moment. KPI number 1, your monthly revenue. Now you're going to pull your actual revenue for January through April, and you're going to compare it against what you plan bringing in. So you need to understand what your monthly revenue is, what you need to bring in every month to cover your expenses, to cover your team, anything that you have to have, your bare minimum. That is your monthly revenue goal. So your monthly revenue goal, again, anything that you have that's going to cover the cost of all the expenses of your business, that's the amount of revenue you need to bring in. So you want to look at your monthly revenue versus what you have planned. So we're going to pull your actual numbers for January through April, and we're going to compare it against what that goal was. So if you consistently are hitting or exceeding your monthly goal, great. Let's look at where there's room to accelerate. If you're consistently falling short, that's not a reason to panic. It's a signal to investigate. What is the gap? Is the gap in enrollment? Is it in specific revenue, some specific stream that underperformed? Is it in tuition pricing that hasn't kept pace with costs? Is it your team? We're going to talk more about your team in another KPI, but these are the things you need to look at to understand where the gap or the leak is coming from. So knowing what that gap is, it's what's going to allow you to close it. KPI number 2, this is your profit margin percentage. So remember, my friend, you are operating with a CEO mindset. So you need to start understanding what your profit margin percentage is. So many early childhood business owners and operators that I know, they know their revenue by month. They know what that is. They know what they should be bringing in, but they don't really ever focus on the profit margin. You need to focus on the profit margin because this is where you are going to be able to get paid. This is where you're going to be able to have that high quality team that is going to stay with you. That's where your business is going to grow. So you're going to calculate your net profit margin for those first 4 months, your total revenue minus your total expenses divided by total revenue multiplied by 100. So again, you need to know what the total revenue you brought in, and you need to know what your expenses are. This is For a healthy early childhood business, we're targeting 10% or better. Under 5% means you're in survival mode. You may be busy and fully enrolled, but you're not actually building financial health. Between 6 and 9% means you're making progress, but there are still optimizations to make. At 10 to 15%, you are in the scalable success zone. So if your margins are below where you want them, the Q2 review is exactly the right time to figure out why before 5 months go by. And if you are a business operating in that 10 to 15%, my friend, that's when you're ready to scale. Maybe you want to open another location. Maybe you want to add on more enrichment programs. Maybe you want to offer something to your families that's exciting and new, but you've been waiting to do it. When you are at that 10 to 15%, that's when you're ready to scale. And you can actually grow that profitability percentage even higher. KPI number 3. This is your payroll percentage. This is a big one. You are going to divide your total payroll, including wages, taxes, and benefits, by your total revenue. A healthy range for an early childhood business is between 45 and 55%. If you are above 55%, that profit is being squeezed by labor costs, and you likely need to either increase revenue, adjust your team structures, or look at where ratio coverage is creating overtime costs. Now, if you're below 45%, ask yourself honestly, are you covering ratios yourself instead of delegating? Are you under investing in your team in a way that will eventually show up as turnover or low quality experiences? Either of those extremes have costs. Whether you are at over 55% or below 45%, both are extreme and both have issues. They're going to leak your profit. KPI number 4, this is your cash reserve balance. So I know this is one that can often be a stretch and seem extremely scary, but how many months of operating expense do you really have on hand? The goal, my friend, is 2 to 6 months. Now, if your monthly operating costs run at $20,000 and you have $60,000 in reserve, you have 3 months coverage. Again, 2 months is the minimum floor for a healthy business. If you have less than 1 month, that's your most urgent financial priority for the second half of the year. I have to tell you, it's not growth, it's not new programs, but it's building your reserves first. You really need to have 1 to 2 months of cash on hand. This, my friend, is really going to save you when you have those cash flow problems that come up because of either timing, maybe a big piece of equipment needs replacing, or maybe something happens in your personal life and you need to take time off. So you really want to make sure you have 1 to 2 reserves in your bank balance. Now, these 4 numbers together are going to tell you whether your business is financially healthy, what's working, and where the risk is. You can calculate all of them in about 30 minutes with your bank statements, your credit card statements, and your P&L. That's all you need. So your action step here, block 30 minutes this week for your May money date. And I want you to calculate your 4 KPIs using those actual January through April numbers. I want you to write everything down. If you don't have easy access to your P&L statement, again, use your bank statement and your credit card statements. The clarity is worth the effort. You want to pull all your revenue coming in and all your expenses. That's what you need to know. Your second action step, I want you to download the mid-year financial health scorecard. You'll find it at kellypeak.com, where you'll find information about this podcast episode number 179. I want you to use it to record your 4 KPI results, identify which are in the healthy range and which need attention, and then prioritize the one area that most needs a strategy adjustment before summer begins. That, my friend, is going to move us on to strategy number 2, where you are going to mine for margin. I want you to find the hidden profit opportunities in that first half data. So once you've run your 4 KPIs, the next question in the Q2 review answers this: where is the profit opportunity hiding in the second half of your year? This is what I call mining for margin. I want you to look at your expenses and your revenue, the data, not just what happened, but you want to look at it to find specific adjustments that will move your numbers in the right direction. So start with your expense categories. Now, the CEO Cash Flow Planner is going to track your expenses, and it does it as a percentage of revenue across 4 main areas. Payroll, remember your target here is 45 to 55%. Facilities, your target here is 15 to 20%. Your programming and operations, that target is 5 to 10%. And finally, your profit, that target is 10 to 30%. Look at where your actual percentages landed in the first 4 months. Any category consistently running above its target range, well, that is a margin leak. And margin leaks compound across 12 months. For most early childhood businesses, the most common first half margin leaks, well, they fall into a few predictable categories. Discounts and credits that have accumulated over time without being reviewed. Think sibling discounts, team member discounts, vacation credits, military discounts. Now, these may have started as a goodwill gesture, but if they're not tracked as a total discount impact on your revenue, they're going to quietly erode your margin. So pull your discount total for the first half and calculate what percentage of revenue you're reducing through unreviewed discount policies. Next, you have additional fees that haven't been updated. Registration fees, supply fees, late payment fees, waitlist fees. When did you last review these against your actual costs? Now, many early childhood operators set fees years ago and then never revisit them. So if your supply costs have increased 15% in 2 years, but your supply fee hasn't changed, well, then you're absorbing that difference as a margin reduction. And finally, how about your programming costs? Those might be running high relative to revenue. Are you offering services that require significant investment in materials, time, or maybe a specialized team member, but aren't priced to reflect that investment? The Q2 review is the time to do a quick service level profitability check, not a full analysis, but a gut check on which programs are genuinely generating margin and which are keeping you busy without moving the profit needle. Now, mining for margin doesn't require you to cut quality or reduce what you offer. It requires you to look at your numbers with an honest eye and identify the specific places where small adjustments, a fee update, a discount policy review, a programming cost optimization, those small things can compound into meaningful profit improvement across the second half of the year. So here are your action steps. Number 1, review your full discount and credits total for January through April. Calculate it as a percentage of revenue. If it's above 3 to 5%, schedule a 15-minute review of your discount policies this month to determine which are strategic and which have simply never been questioned. Now, this single review commonly reveals $1,000 to $3,000 in annualized margin recovery for small programs. So again, some of those discount policies that you put in as a goodwill gesture, well, you just may not be able to afford to offer them. So make sure you can. Now, action step number 2, pull your 5 largest variable expense categories from the first half and compare each to your previous year's same period. Where are costs increasing faster than revenue? Those are your second half margin opportunities. Pick one to address before July and build a specific plan, a fee adjustment, a vendor negotiation, a programming restructure. One targeted change, fully executed, well, it's worth more than 5 intentions. And finally, on to strategy number 3. You're going to build your second half adjustment plan using your Q2 data. The Q2 financial review is only valuable if it leads to action. So looking at your numbers, acknowledging what they say, and then going back to doing what you've always done, well, that's the pattern that keeps early childhood businesses stuck at a 2 to 5% margin indefinitely. The third strategy, and the one that separates CEOs who grow from those who plateau, well, that's taking your Q2 data and building a specific second half adjustment plan before May is over. So your adjustment plan doesn't need to be complex. It needs to answer 3 questions for each area where your Q2 review revealed the gap. What specifically is the issue? What is the target by December 31st? What is the one action you can take in the next 30 days to move that target? Let me give you some examples of what this looks like in practice. So if your revenue versus goal check shows you're running 15% below your annual plan, then the adjustment question isn't, how do I get more families? It's more specific than that. It's which revenue streams are underperforming. Is it summer camps, enrichment add-ons, party bookings? Find the specific gap and build one targeted enrollment or marketing action for that revenue stream in May or June. If your profit margin is at 6% when you need to be at 10%, the adjustment isn't a vague commitment to spend less. It's identifying the one expense category that's running way above its healthy range and creating a specific reduction plan, or maybe identifying a revenue stream you can add or a price adjust to close that gap. Seasonal planning is a critical component of your second half adjustment. So if your Q2 data shows that May through June typically represents a revenue peak before a summer dip, now is the time to build cash reserves intentionally to cover that summer dip rather than being surprised by it. Your CEO Cash Flow Planner's forecasting function allows you to project forward 60 to 90 days and see where that potential cash shortflow is coming from before it arrives. And that foresight is what allows you to take action in May rather than scrambling in August. Now, one more consideration for your second half adjustment plan. Are you paying yourself? Owner compensation is one of the most common omissions in an early childhood business's finances. If you're not accounting for your own pay as a business expense, your profit margin is artificially inflated. And you're essentially subsidizing your business with your personal financial security. A healthy second half adjustment plan includes a specific, realistic owner compensation number as a line item, not an afterthought. So my friend, your action step here. Number one, use your 4 KPI results from strategy number 1. Identify the single most important financial adjustment your business needs to make before September 1st. Write a 1-sentence goal. Maybe something like, by September 1, my insert specific KPI will be at insert specific target. Then identify one concrete action you will take in the next 30 days to start moving that forward. One goal, one milestone, one action. Real accountability. Action step number 2, open the CEO Cash Flow Planner and project your revenue and expenses for June, July, and August. Where do you anticipate a cash flow gap, if any? What action can you take now, maybe a summer camp push, an enrollment drive, a fee collection timing adjustment, to build the cash reserve that covers any potential gaps ahead? Planning for a dip before it arrives is financial leadership. Reacting to a dip after it lands, that's going to create nothing but financial stress. So my friend, let's pull this all together. Today, we move from financial avoidance to financial leadership. When you run your 4 KPIs honestly, you mine your first half data for the margin opportunities hiding inside, and you build a specific second half adjustment plan before May is over, you stop being surprised by your finances and you start operating your business from a position of clarity and confidence. That's the cash flow management profit booster doing exactly what it's designed to do, giving you the financial picture you need to lead like the CEO you are. Okay, it's time to find some calm. Find a place where you can just calm yourself, calm your mind, and imagine this. It's December 31st. You're sitting down to review the year. Your profit margin finished at 12%. You paid yourself consistently every month. You built 2 months of cash reserves. And none of those outcomes happened by accident. They happened because you took 30 minutes in May to look at your numbers honestly and made 2 or 3 targeted adjustments that compounded across the second half of the year. That's not a fantasy. That's what a Q2 financial review makes possible when you actually do it. So your next steps here. Number 1, download that free mid-year financial health scorecard at kellypkeck.com. where you're going to find information about podcast episode 179 and complete your Q2 review this week. All 4 KPIs, write them down with at least one adjustment identified. Action step number 2, I want you to go check out that CEO Profit Spotlight Guide. Again, it's at kellypeak.com, shop resources. It's going to give you the deeper financial framework for understanding your numbers, identifying some specific margin opportunities. It's going to give you profit opportunities that you can add into your business that are going to work with the unique economics of an early childhood business. And number 3, if you need deeper support, if you want monthly financial accountability, live coaching on your specific numbers, and a community of early childhood CEOs doing this work alongside you, be sure to join us in the Shine CEO Mentorship Program. Module 6 of the Preschool Business Blueprint, Cash Flow Management, is part of that, and it walks you through the full CEO dashboard, the cash flow planner, and the quarterly review process in depth. Now, I want to leave you with this. The work you're doing to build a financially healthy early childhood business, it is not selfish. And it's not about greed or chasing numbers for their own sake. It's about building a business that's stable enough to pay your team well, sustainable enough to serve your families for years to come, and profitable enough to give you the time freedom lifestyle that makes the sacrifice of building it actually worth it. You deserve to know your numbers. Your business deserves a CEO who looks at them. And that, my friend, is you. Looking forward to see all that you bring in the next week. Take care, my friend.